Thank you very much for having me, and thanks very much for coming tonight. So congratulations. Congratulations is in order, I think. If you're in this room, it's likely that you're a sophisticated investor, which means that you've accumulated a large amount of wealth over your career. You've been very smart, you've worked very hard. Now, for customers and clients that we have in that position, we usually say there's two rules now. One, don't lose it. Number two, make it work for you. And this philosophy is important for us, and it's important for the structure of the fund because it's our money as well. We are investing in this fund. The management team will invest in this fund. We'll invest 100% of our time into this fund, and we have a lot of passion for it. So please let me tell you more about it. So the fund will invest, it's a commercial property fund that will invest in over 50 regional and suburban motels throughout Australia. It's a very fragmented industry. There's a lot of opportunity in the industry. This consolidation play is not new. As you know, the pub sector, childcare, marinas, senior living, all been targeted for roll-ups. There's a lot of economies of scale available, whereas this one's relatively untouched. So why motels? Well, when you drive into a regional centre in Australia, on the main road in the centre of town, there's a motel. It's a fantastic location. It's a fantastic property. We're targeting properties of 30 rooms and up that have the adequate scale and have a history of operational track record and cash generation. So these aren't your mums and dads. These are sort of a bit more of the higher up after that. Now, the purchase yields available for this segment is over 10%, so fantastic, as you could agree. The essential service providers, so these are usually essential for service providers in their regions, in their towns, so very diverse local economies underpinning the operation. So the investment highlights, I'll go through this as we go through the presentation, but what to look at here is a greater than 20% return over the 5-year term of the fund. And as I said, you're stepping in to these acquisitions at a 10% per annum distribution yield. So as I said, priority number one, rule number one, capital preservation, low risk. And we've used this ethos as we structured the fund. Quality property-backed assets, usually in the range of $7 to $20 million that fly under that institutional bracket. And that's why there's an opportunity in this segment. Low LVR, we want to have a low LVR, about a 3 times interest coverage, diversification across geography and economies. The resilient operations, these things, as I said, when they're underpinning in a local town, mining, agriculture, business, infrastructure, local government services, there's that resilience of the clientele. We've instituted independent trustee and AFSL oversight, and we've excluded high-risk properties. So we're not doing developments, we're not doing turnarounds, and we're making sure there's no pubs and clubs in the mix. We're backed by strong advisors. It's very important to us, the fiduciary duty we have to our investors to have a really good ring-fenced risk mitigation, very good tax-efficient structure, and very good compliance. Now, this 20%, it's a big number, it's a bold number, so let me explain that in a bit more detail. So as I said, the strategy is to acquire a portfolio of motels, quality assets between 6 and 20 million, adequate scale, and really good towns, and that's where our proprietary analysis really comes to the fore in terms of identifying these towns with a really diverse local economy. We do some optimisation during the term, and then the idea is to buy at a 10 or 12% yield and sell at the 8 or 9. Once the 8 or 9% yield, getting that margin compression when you've got the portfolio. It's a vanilla buy and build strategy. Now, as you incrementally add up those returns, so you step in on day one at a 10% yield. Who wouldn't love that? I mean, it's fantastic. The first 3 months, we'll have a 100-day action plan to have a look at some I'm talking basic operational drivers. A lot of these hotels and motels don't have dynamic pricing. They give away too much commission to the online travel agencies. They spend money where they don't need to. They don't provide upsell for food and beverage on site. There's a lot of basic things you can do without having to refurbish a site. And then the holding period is inflation-backed, and the great inflation-backed return provides capital growth and inflation protection. So room rates historically have grown every year with inflation, and then upon exit you get that uptick when you get that margin compression from selling a portfolio. So that's how we get to a 20 to greater than 20% IRR. In fact, this is an opportunity on the market right at the moment, and the modelling I've done, it's a $7.5 million motel with 38 rooms. It's got about a 34% IRR over 5 years. Now, obviously, I can go through the detail with you if you like, but I did a downside scenario where I took out the operational improvement, and it's still yielding over the 5-year term a 24% IRR. So priority number 3 is obviously making the most of that scale. But if we have a look at the problem we have for investors, generally, if you want to get into the property market, commercial market, it's a very time-consuming process, a lot of diligence, a lot of management, and a lot of research. And we can solve that problem by having a fund like this and also providing the diversification to you across a larger portfolio. In terms of the competitor comparison amongst other funds, I talk to investors who are looking at the portfolio. Things to consider when considering an investment for your portfolio is obviously the yield, the income distribution, the upside, the returns over the term in addition to the yield, whether it's diversified or a single asset risk, low debt levels, of course, or debt levels in general, whether it's development or turnaround, construction, and of course having that independent oversight and compliance. Now the industry has been going very well. The domestic industry has really been booming. Best travel industry has really been booming in Australia. There are over 2,400 motels in Australia. It's a very fragmented market, and the industry research is projecting a growth over the next 5 or 6 years by 2.5%. Now that's underpinned by the local tourism industry, just the local industry. I looked during the week. It's been growing at about 15% for the last 10 years. This is trips and stays and spend. It's really been going very well. So strong local demand, but also a shortage of supply. So construction costs are higher at the moment, and therefore a lot of these motels you'll be able to buy below replacement value. And then, of course, international arrivals are still growing strongly after COVID and recovering. There's also a history, as I said, of room rate growth that provides that inflation protection. So yes, our team motto is determination, focus, and execution. Execution is key in this strategy, obviously, because it is, as I said, a simple vanilla buy and build strategy. So assembling a team of executors. Just to point out, Craig Davison, he's 40 years veteran of the hotel industry as an operator. He managed Hamilton Island for 10 years, for example. He's the CEO of Journey Beyond that owned such attractions as Dreamworld and the Garn Railway. He sat on the board of Australian Tourism. So we've got some good operational knowledge, and as you'll be able to see in the collateral, a team of successful execution. And the last piece I'd like to look through is just the structure. Very vanilla, simple structure, ring fencing the property on one side and having operating assets on the other. A stable security, so you'd own both with that independent oversight. So one thought I'd just like to leave you with is just the passion. Passion is the cornerstone of what we have here in terms of passion for execution, passion for creating the first and the largest owned and operated motel business in Australia. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to you coming along the journey with us. Thank you.